That's the first time I've heard it do that. That was special. All right, guys, it's 7 o'clock. We have a lot to cover. I am going to go and get started. I'm sure people will kind of pop in throughout. Yeah, so I'm going to begin tonight really hitting on just our pre-team level 1 and boys level 3. The things that I'll mention will still apply to 2 through 10, but then I will go through those things a little bit more in depth and have some additional stuff. But I just want to focus on that. And this is for everybody at Champion. It is so important that we remember that we are a family. And I can't emphasize that enough, that we want to feel that like a family, that you can share how you're feeling and be able to seek resolutions when you're frustrated or when your kid's struggling with the skill. And so please know that truthfully, our doors are open as the coaches to help you understand, to help you and your kid be successful. And we want them to have a great experience here, though we are very committed into making sure our athletes learn great gymnastics and able to compete and do well. It is not at an expense of us not working together as a cohesive unit and as a family. The first thing I'm going to, like I said, these are going to be in the handbooks, so you can, after this meeting, you will get those and I'll email those out and you can use it as a reference point. Or if you have a question at any point, just interrupt me. I have everyone muted right now, but you're able to unmute yourself and you can just interrupt me with a question anytime. It doesn't bother me. One, let me talk about the commitment. So gymnastics is a circular sport. And so we go through cycles. So our summer schedule is actually the beginning of our season. And in the summer, we're working on polishing individual elements. For many of them, it's a new skill that they probably just got. So there's a lot of work that has to be done to make those skills look correctly. Then we move into the fall and we start linking them together and putting 2 or 3 elements together and doing parts of routines. Then in the winter, we start competing. And around once we kind of get a couple competitions under a belt in January of the upcoming season, that's when they start working on new skills. And it's during that time they're like, we're doing some new skill work and working on polishing the routines. And then we get to March. And for most of them, the season ends for them in March. And that's their last competition. For the upper level boys and girls, their season will go a little bit longer to April and May. And then in March, they'll exclusively be working on skills and trying to get checks to move up with the season ending in June. Or sorry, at the end of May. Now, that said, you don't sign a contract that says you're locked into 12 months of competition. Like if any point, if you move or want to switch gyms or have an injury, you can of course drop at that point. The only thing that you are kind of more bound to is the booster club. And that's for 2 through 10. This is not pre-team level 1. There's no booster club. but the financial obligation to All About Kids is we do the billing on the 15th, as many of you already know, and that's the extent. Like if you let us know that you're dropping at the end of the month, then let us know before the 15th and we won't charge you for the next month. So it's more a philosophical commitment to the season to see it through, but it's not a financial one, except for the Booster Club. Please be to practice on time. It's so important. Every element of the workout, from cardio to warm up to conditioning, all of them are important, and maybe not their favorite thing when we do more difficult cardio warm ups, but it's important, and it affects their ability to be focused. Like they need time. They don't want to be kind of frantically coming in at the last minute. That said, please communicate anytime you're going to miss practice, or if you are running late, or if you have an injury from another sport. Let us know if through email or through text, so that we can make sure we stay on top of what we ask them to do. Because we might, if they've been struggling on beam and their last event is scheduled to be beam, well, maybe we'll have a go with a different group so they can get a beam turn if they have to leave early or if they're arriving late. So please reach out to the coaches to either email or text. Be respectful of their time though. Sending a text at 11 o'clock at night, probably not super respectful, or at 7 a.m. in the morning, everyone's kind of different. You have to remember, just because you have a 9 to 5 job, we don't. We work in the evening, so a lot of coaches don't get up until a little bit later or get their day going. And just be respectful of the time when you're doing that. Make sure you can find our emails on our team website. So if you go to championgym.com and /r-team, but you can find it from drop down, and then you can find all of our emails of all our coaches. I'm in the process of updating because we have a couple new coaches and some have to kind of be taken down, but that'll get updated and you'll be able to find your coaches and a little bio and an email about them, and you can email them. Make sure that your kids are well fueled. If they have an early morning practice, they cannot come in with a completely empty stomach. If they've been at the pool all day and you have an evening practice, they can't come without having some kind of nutrients. They're allowed to bring food into the gym, but it needs to be in small sealed containers, spill proof, and no colored drinks, so just water. Make sure if there is, because some of you might have a gymnastics background or you did cheer, and it's so important that you make sure that we stay on the same page with the coaches. So please support us, and if you want clarification or help in trying to help them through something, reach out to them and try to get the answers so you're able to work together. That said, let the coaches coach. Don't coach. Many times, especially new parents, I see you coaching from the balcony, sometimes other parents, and what that ends up doing, and when you're trying to tell them to get in line, or you're just trying to tell them to point their toe, whatever, you think you're being helpful, but what it ends up doing is the kid's doing this the whole time, and they can end up falling off the equipment because they keep looking for your gratification, but it kind of takes them out of, someone just said that I'm cutting in and out. I can try connecting my internet to my phone. Give me 1 second. See if that makes it better. Bear with me, guys. All right. Hopefully, I just switched internet, so hopefully this will be a little bit better. But like I said, we want to make sure. Someone said, can you go over the food they're allowed to bring? So for the food that you bring into the gym, if you're gonna have a snack, it can be something healthy, something that will give them the right kind of fuel, and spill-proof containers. So nothing like, I wouldn't want, if you brought in, I don't know, some kind of like crackers or pretzels or something like that, it would need to be in a spill-proof container, and then no colored drinks, only water. Okay. So that's as far as what food you can have in the gym. Someone said, please support our coaches. So I'm kind of going back. I didn't realize some of you couldn't hear. Please support our coaches and the choices that they make. And when you are concerned or want clarification, reach out to them. They are more than happy to explain why we're doing this or why we're taking this approach. Sometimes when they're younger, kids don't always advocate for themselves. So we get that you want to advocate for your kid. Just make sure that we're working together on the same page. Don't coach from the balcony. I mean, there's so many little kids are always looking up like this, trying to get your approval, and it creates a very distracting scenario. And we want uh, the kids to respond to what the coaches are asking and do things for the right reason, and not because the parent just happened to be there. And if you want to support your kid, then and they have questions about how, well, I don't know why I keep falling off a beam, don't give them the correction. Set up a meeting with the coach and they find a solution together, so that we're working kind of as one unit, and the coaches are the ones that are coaching. No flash photography when in the gym, or illuminated lights can be very distracting. It picks up, so just making sure you're not doing that. Real quick, pre-team and level 1, I'm going to talk about your pre-team boys level 3 and level 1. I talk about your apparel. So they will need to purchase a leotard. We'll have a sizing orientation that will take place here at All About Kids. They'll need a backpack and they'll need a t-shirt. Those are the only 3 things pre-team level 1 and developmental 3 boys need to have. And like I said, there'll be a sizing for that. If there are any injuries, we do offer, if you're out for longer than a month, reduced tuition. So there's an injury report form that you fill out that's on our website, and I'll include it in it. It'll be in the manual too, a link to it. And that's what you send that to Vanessa, and she will take care of prorating to it. Like maybe they just have an injured arm, so we want them in practice, and we're going to do beam and conditioning, and maybe we won't do bars, we'll do some extra beam. So we want them still to be here at practice, and we'll work with you as they come back from an injury. So the performances and competitions for pre-team level 1 and boys level 3, they have pre-team has 4 meets, and the level 1 and boys level 3 have 5. And the cost for that is $260, I think. Yeah, $260 for the ones that have 5, and for the pre-team it's $200. That'll be billed in September. And their meets, and this will be in the handbook, they will do, hopefully we'll get to do the Middletown and Gaslight Parade again this year. I'm not sure if it's still on schedule or not, but that's something we participate in. You'll do one of those parades. Every team will kind of spread out. And then they'll have Fall Performance Day, which some of you might have done last year. Then they'll do Champion Challenge, which will also be here at All About Kids. Then the one that have 5 meet, the pre-team, or sorry, the level 1 and boys level 3, they'll have a meet in SIGS in December, and then Super Bowl in January, and then the Spring Performance Day in March. And we'll have those set dates. The competition schedule will come out midsummer, so you actually have those dates. In addition, these are other events. So we have a summer camp that they're welcome to join us for if they want, June 21st to the 24th this year, and there's still some room open if they would like to join that. You can do that. It's $345. We'll have a fall clinic where we bring in judges, and if you want some extra feedback, they're welcome to join and do that as well. And then we have next year's summer camp, June 13th to 16th of 2022. So those are optional things that you can choose to participate in, but not required. At AAK, there's always an annual membership of $30. That doesn't change. So once you get into the team program, unlike, and then our class program is kind of similar, but we base tuition off of a 48-week calendar year. So it's based on 4 weeks of practice. So that extra kind of half week in every month doesn't factor in. And the reason is we close for summer camp. We don't have practices during summer camp week. We close for obviously different holidays and different things. So anytime we cancel practice, we don't make that up. We're too large of a program to be able to make up, a missed level 3 practice due to a holiday or something like that. But that said, we factor our tuition based on a 48-week calendar year to take into account for that. As you all know, we have a debit card that's on file. That's nothing new or different, and we bill on the 15th for the upcoming month. Here, what is the date? We're on the 7th. So some of you who already pre-enrolled already paid for June. So on June 15th, you're going to get billed for the month of July. And those of you that have moved up into new levels, and those of you even repeating, we had a price adjustment that occurred. The difference of that move up cost will be reflected on the 15th. That's really all that I have for pre-team level 1 and boys level 3. Do any of you that are in pre-team level 1 our boys level 3. Do you have any questions before I kind of delve into orientation for the booster or for team program?
Yes, I have a question. What days
Sure.
will practice be for level 1?
So a level 1 schedule is set. It is up on our website, and level 1s are right now with Courtney on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 6 to 8.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Jason, you had a question in the chat asking if they should still do sizing if they're on a wait list.
What wait lists are they on?
I don't know. It was a question in the chat. This is Kimi's mom.
Oh, okay.
She's on the wait list for pre-team.
I gotcha. Well, hopefully a lot of those pre-team kids are moving into level 1, and new spots should open up. And we're in the process of hiring more coaches too. But no, I would not do. You can do the sizing orientation so you know your size, but I wouldn't order it until you're for sure on the team.
Okay.
Someone said, how do we communicate for absences? So when you're absent, you just call All About Kids to schedule makeup. Any other questions for pre-team and level 1?
Can you
Was it level
still
3?
do makeups for level 1?
Yes.
There's just like one class.
Yeah, so
Like,
there's makeups. So the level 1s would make up with the level 2s, and or with pre-team. You can kind of do either, kind of bounce back and forth. So if you're level 2, you'll make up with either the level 1s or the level 3s. You just whatever levels on the other side.
Gotcha.
So yes, the cost for someone's asking about pricing for tuition. So the cost for the practices, if you're a level 1, is $194 a month. The cost for the competitions is a flat $260 that's due in September, on September 1st, and that we pay for all the meets up front.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, quick question. When is sizing orientation? Do you have a date?
I don't have a date yet. It'll be basically like a whole week or 2 weeks when we have the sizers here for you to come in and try them on. Amanda Fow and Rakaya are working on that, and they'll send out information as soon as they have it. Okay. Well, pre-team level 1, boys level 3, you're welcome to stay if you like, as I kind of go more in depth with things. But this is all pertains to now our USAG competitive program. Get something to pull up. Okay, guys. Most of the stuff that I'll talk about first will deal with compulsories, and then I'll end with more optional stuff. And then the Booster Club will take over from there. So in general, make sure, again, this has to do with being on time, that your kids, because they're here for a longer practice, use the restroom right when they get here. It's super frustrating as coaches when we're into 10 minutes and they're asking if they can go to the bathroom. Like, that needs to happen beforehand. Make sure they have their water bottle still. We are, just so you know, going to be opening up water fountains on June 11th. We won't have a mask policy on June 11th as well, when the Kentucky's mask mandate is lifted. And also, I didn't say this earlier, but chalk, you won't have to buy chalk anymore. So we'll you don't have to have personal chalk. All the chalk will be in the buckets, and we'll be providing that. So that will switch on June 11th, which is, I guess, is that next week then, right? How many days we have? What day is June 11th? Friday. So on Friday. I can't emphasize enough, guys, the coaching from the balcony with this, with the older guys, it's very tempting. You think that you're helping. Just let your coaches coach, and you'll have a much happier athlete when you do that. Check your emails regularly. It's super important that this email. So when you get an email from All About Kids, you're actually getting it. It'll say Louisville All About Kids, and when you click on it, the email will say All About Kids 1 notifications at ses.iclasspro.com. But when you go to reply to that email, you will see who it came from. If I send an email out, it'll switch to my name. If Rakaya sent out an email, it'll come from her name. If Vanessa sends one, it'll flip to that. But just know, and this is all email. So if you at any point unsubscribe to any mass emails, because you didn't want to get the basketball ones, unfortunately, we don't have a way of filtering, and we try to do the best we can so you're not bombarded with something that doesn't apply to you. But you don't want to unsubscribe from any All About Kids mass emails, because that'll be the same email way that I will send out. So make sure you check your spam filters to make sure All About Kids 1 - notifications at ses@iclasspro.com isn't blocked or being filtered into spam. In general, guys, we have open practices. You're definitely welcome to watch all of them if that's what you want to do. I advise against that. I feel like gymnastics progresses at a very slow rate, and you can't appreciate it when you see it every day. So it's nice just to pop in like maybe once a month, once every 2 months, or come when the kid is asking and begging you to come. Oh, I want you to see a certain skill that I've been doing, I've been working really hard on. It kind of makes it a little bit more special that way. And it's like I said, you'll actually be able to notice the difference in the progress, like, because it's very, very slow. It doesn't happen overnight. So here are a couple of equipment things that need to be purchased for level 3 and up. Like, this is up to you. In level 3, you have a choice of wearing grips or not wearing grips. If you have small hands, I don't recommend grips at level 3. They will need to, by the end of the season, if they're planning on moving to 4 or headed that way, to get grips for level 4, because when they're swinging on the high bar, it helps you hang on. We have them here at All About Kids. You can buy them your own, but whatever kind you get, they do need to be buckle grip, not the Velcro kind. Make sure that you try them on before using them, because we can't return them if they've already been broken in and used. So your bar coaches can help you get sized if you're unsure of that. Like I said, you can do it here at All About Kids. You can buy them online. You want to make sure as you get older, like particularly the level 4s, I have a feeling I bet all of them are in their first pair of grips, last year's level 4s. It is time to get new ones. They get stretched out. They don't like to. You need to get in the habit of at least once a year for compulsories and several times a year for optionals. So take a good look at your kids' grips, and if they look pretty run down or thin or starting to fray, or if there's a tear, it's time to throw them away. You got to make them get new grips. Also, 4 and up need their own set of, and this is true for the girls, not boys. The wrist weights that have the loopholes in your thumb, so that we can use them both on their wrists for doing things with arms and on our legs. We do it for a lot of different shaping kinds of things and body awareness. So some of them have them, some of them have lost them or don't have them anymore. Make sure that they have that here by the first couple weeks of summer schedule. Also, we've been using a whole lot more of dumbbell weights, and they 4 and up need their own set of 10 to 15 pounds, depending on your child's strength, of dumbbell weights. Some of them still have them from when we came back from quarantine. Some of them have lost them or they're not bringing them. Someone asked, what do you call those thumb hole weights? I don't know the name. It's just a style. Like, they're wrist weights, but they're wrist weights that can double as ankle weights because they have Velcro and it'll fit around their ankle too. And it needs to be 3 to 5 pounds. And then the dumbbell, use common sense, like have your kid do a shoulder press, and if they're too little to be able to do one with 10, then maybe you do need 8. Just kind of be smart. Everyone's different, so you could range from 8 to 15 pounds. We're not doing serious lifting, but we do use them. Now this kind of is a weird thing. It's called the GoFit Resist-A-Cuff. So I might write that down again. It's in the handbook that I'll email it to. I don't know if you've seen us use in the gym, but 4 and up, 4 leaps and jumps. It's like an elastic band that cuffs around their quad or calf, and they need to have their own set of that. We have a couple. We have like 8. I don't know where they've all gone, if they lost them or what, but if they have lost them, we do need those purchased and tell them not to lose it anymore. And then the final thing, and this is again for boys too, the therapy band resistance bands. And boys parents, if you're in here, Heavier weights for them is okay as well, if you want to get some 20s. I don't know if they're ready for anything heavier than that at this time. Any questions on the additional equipment? Like I said, it's all listed there. The therapy band, you can get the therapy. It's like the kinds you would use around, like for hip flexor work. They're just a small little loop that you kind of slip into. As many of you know, our system for moving up is pretty much, there's three things that we consider. One, how did they score last season? Looking for another question in the chat. What? So it's called here. I guess I can sit it in the chat. Someone asked for the names of that equipment. I probably would just send this whole paragraph. Everyone in meeting. There you go. So I just sent a kind of a long text with the equipment that needs to be purchased for 4 and up. So that we looked at that, they got several 36s, kind of a 9 average. That shows mastery of those skills. You have to remember in gymnastics that everything is based on the previous level. So when you do a round off in level 1 or 2, that round off leads later to a round off back handspring. So if your round off is bad, you'll score bad at level 2 on floor, and it's going to affect your ability to learn a good round off back handspring. So all of it is about linking these skills, and the better you are at the lower level, that's the only way that you're able to successfully learn the harder skills of the level above you. So we look at scores. And then of course we have the skill sheets that determine movement. These skills that we picked sometimes are the baby versions of what they need. Like for level 4, we don't require them to learn a high bar kip to move to level 4. We require the low bar. We know if they have a good low bar kip at the beginning of the summer, that we can have them having a good high bar kip by the end, by end of summer. And so this is a system that we've used for a long time and have produced many great kids through this program, and you have to just kind of trust us. And I know that sometimes it's difficult to deal with your child of repeating a level, but there's no crystal ball on how long it's going to take kids to learn skills sometimes or work through fears. And we always want to place them in what's going to make them the best, what's best for them, both emotionally, physically, psychologically. And anytime we deviate from our better judgment, we end up realizing we should have listened to our better judgment. Like we've been doing this for a long time and have a lot of experience and know how long it takes to master skills and work through fears. And you have to kind of trust us with that. That said, at any point during the year, you can reach out to your coaches to schedule a meeting to get an update with how they're doing and how they're progressing. And keep in mind too, just because they're on track in January, fear could settle in March or April or May, and that could derail that. And because they're children, they don't always communicate well how to work through the fear. So as coaches, we're kind of trying different things that we know that have worked in the past, or kind of guessing, and you just have to continue to keep that communication open if fear is a reason as to why they're not able to move up. And sometimes it just takes a while, like to learn a kip. It takes a lot of strength and lots of practice. So meet expectations. It's super important, this is for all levels, boys and girls, that we just don't go to a meet and hope for the best. We train really hard. We make sure that they're making the routines or assignments prior to a meet so that they can be successful and enjoy the meet experience. So they're not racked with worry and anxiety because they haven't done this skill all week, but they're going to try to do it at the meet. So there will be opportunities sometimes when they will not compete in an event, and that can happen at any level. And it's just because they're not ready. Maybe they can't do the kip, or maybe they're afraid of their cartwheel on beam, or they're struggling with being able to make passes on floor, whatever it might be. If they're going to, all these other meets are practice meets that we go to. Yes, they're fun, and yes, we want them to be successful, but it's all about trying to peak at state and for the upper levels, regionals, Easterns, and nationals. And so you have to view it that way. And it's not about trying to win every meet. And if you aren't ready, then it's okay. And scratching could happen, and that's all right. And we need your support in that. Now, we'll let you, the kids should be communicating, because that if it's leading up to, like, you're probably not going to be competing beam because we still aren't doing this skill. But we would, of course, let you know if we have a planned scratch. But calling to argue with us about it. If they're not ready, we're not going to put them in a situation where they could get hurt or where they're racked with anxiety that it becomes a miserable experience trying to force themselves to compete something that they're not ready for. As far as the meet schedule goes, we do ask that when you go to a meet, you arrive 15 minutes early. Because of COVID, there was all kinds of different things this past season, but I think this upcoming season will be a little bit more normal. We didn't travel a whole lot this season because we adopted as a club that we were just going to stay in the state of Kentucky. Into next season, Booster Club has let me know that we will be able, they are going to allow me to have a little bit more robust meet season. Looking at actually having 2 flight meets. So in the past, we have our upper level kids have always had like I call it a flight meet, but it's where you get on a plane and fly there. It's further away. So this season, we're going to give an option for our 2s and 3s to go on a flight meet. We were looking at Florida. So that will likely be where we will head for the whole program. And then our upper level boys and girls, they'll have a kind of a West Coast. We do flight meets for both bonding to get a different set of judges and a different experience and kind of, again, that whole family thing. That my hope is that when you are forced to fly and travel someone, you have more time to hang out with those parents on your team and have that kind of bonding. So that's what to expect. So upper level is level 6 through 10 optional. So the optionals will have the additional flight meet. They were the only ones that did it, and the 5s did it in the past too, the 4s. So we'll have 2 flight meets, one that's a little closer and one that's West Coast, and that's like for level 6s and up, boy and girl. Any questions so far about anything that I've covered? Excel will also go to that flight meet, sorry. The whole program would go to the closer flight meet. So I will post a meet schedule on our website by the end of the month, or as soon as other gyms have their schedules out. And that's where you'll use this PDF to find the meet schedule, to find like what time your kid competes. So the PDF that I upload will have our meet schedule, the dates, but we won't know the actual time of the meet until 2 to 3 weeks prior. And so you'll go to our website and I will hyperlink, what date, the meet schedule, the rotation schedule, and all the different things. And that's what you'll use as a reference. I recommend everyone, every time I post a new one, it's year sensitive. So if you've saved this season's to your phone on your home screen, there'll be a new link. Otherwise you'd pull up the old one because I don't replace it because it's a different season. But you can use that to reference the meet schedule. Do not call the gym if you want to know the schedule. I realize you guys have busy families and lots of athletes in your home doing mini sports, and just have to wait till, I promise I'll send it out as soon as I get it. I'm not holding it ransom because I think it's fun to toy with everyone's lives. I post it and share it within hours of getting it from the meet director, but don't call the meets director to get that schedule. I mean, can you imagine if you have a 2,000 person meet and 2,000 people were calling the meet director every day asking for the schedule? Like it's not polite, and I don't want our club to be associated with that kind of behavior. Spring break. So for our boys and girls at the upper level, we ask them not to go in spring break because it is right before regionals. And the whole point, I said, of our season is doing these meets so we can get better and be able to peak at regionals. If you take a whole week off, it's like you did this for no reason. Like, why did we work hard this season if we're not going to be at our utmost best at regionals? So we ask that you do not go on a spring break. So enjoy it while you can, 5s and below. But we will ask that you not do that. Meet attire. So we have the men's program. They have a new warm up every 2 years. I think we actually kind of had a little bit longer than normal, and then they have a new step ins and shorts every 2 years. We do stagger them. The women have their competitive Leo and a team tank. So we actually have 2 leotards for the girls. One that's long sleeve that they'll keep for 2 years, and the team tank is just for 1 year. You do want to think about how you purchase it because since we use it for 2, you want it to last, but you don't want it too baggy that it looks bad. So you just kind of have to be smart about that. Someone goes, I have a question about makeup classes, especially with last year's COVID exposure. Will our gymnasts be able to make up classes or open gym even with the start? Yeah, we are offering makeup classes. There is no open gym for missed practices. Just to do a makeup class, you just call All About Kids and sign up for it. Someone goes, speaking of taking time off, we had already signed up our daughter for 2 weeks of international master camp before we joined champion. She would obviously miss 2 weeks of practice at the end of July and beginning of August if we let her go, but at this point it's non-refundable. So there is no refund, but we will just have you make up those practices. Going back to leotards. So like I said, a team tank and a long sleeve Leo and a warm up. The team tank we use for different events throughout the year and for spirit weeks and in the parades. And then the long sleeve leotard is what they'll compete in for 2 years, and then the warm up. We are getting new Leos this year, which means we have 1 more year of our current warm up. So if you're buying a warm up and you're new to the program, you do not need to buy it to last 2 years. You're only going to have it for 1 year. Everyone else, you know, the Leo though is going to be new. Yes, so if you're a level 4, you would make up with the level 3s. The level below or the level above, and 4 to 6 would be too much of a big. So the 4s have to make up with the 3s. So now I'm just going to kind of go into the kind of financial obligations. Oh, someone had another. I don't know the cost. I know that the warm up. Can someone chime in? A parent actually. What is it usually? I think the Leo's usually around $300, and the team tank is usually around 75, and I think the warm up is usually around 125. Is that correct?
I think the warm up was about 150 last year, and
Okay.
I'm sure with the team long sleeve Leo, I think was like 345 last year.
Okay.
Sometimes the level 2s and 3s have had a different Leo. Are you doing that this year too, or is everybody
Level 2 has a level 2 and below will have the short sleeve. They won't have the long one. So thanks for reminding me of that. So level 2 will have a short sleeve one that's the same as the pre-team level 1 they had last year. So if your kid still fits into that, they do not need to get a new Leo, because the 2s will use the same one. So financial obligations, you pay your $30 annual membership. There is a USAG membership that I will send an email out at some point this before the end of June for you to register for the new year. I cannot register you for meets if you have not paid that. It's $63. You have to do it as soon as the email gets out, because the meets start to fill up and I can't register your kid until you do that. And I talked about the apparel packages. Like I said, we have a couple of we have the fall clinic in the fall where we bring in judges. That is required. We have the team camp would be required. If you're new this year, team camp is not, if you're new level 2, not required. But if you're repeating level 2, it is required, because obviously you didn't know about it if you just not joined. I do not have the dates for the fall clinic yet. I will have that hopefully when the meet schedule comes out. The dates for fall clinic will be out too. It's very tricky when we have like 4 school districts all with fall break on different weekends. So I would try to find the date that pleases the most amount of people. But if it does end up, if you have a vacation or something on fall break, just reach out to me, and we can see what we can do. Yes, if you're new level 3 and up, it doesn't matter. All events are required. The camp would not be required because I mean it's literally in 2 weeks, unless you. But like I said, there won't be practice that week, so we would love for you to still participate in the camp. But the clinic is required for 2 and up, regardless. We bring in judges. It's super important that they be there for it. There are a couple, and I'm not going to go through all of these, but when you get the handbook, there's a couple of team camps that we send our optional girls to and our boys to. So more information about that, but those dates are in there. Some of them are to be determined, some are set. Like I know for sure, like the level 10s have one September 10th to the 12th, and the summer camp dates are also in that handbook. If you're new to Excel and new to optionals, you have to have music for your routine. So please make sure Rakaya is handling 6 through 10 music. So you'll be reaching out to her for that. If you're Excel, you just talk with Erica, and she's been handling the music for her team. But there's a cost involved in the cutting of the music. It's usually around $75. I use my friend Steven. He does a great job. You can have it cut yourself, but again, just make sure that whoever's doing it knows what they're doing. And then with choreography, it ranges between $200 to $500, depending on what choreographer you use. And then you need a choreographer for Beam as well. Like I said, if you're in Excel, Erica will help get you where you wanted. You're welcome to use the choreographers we use for optionals too. You just have to let me know, and they'll gladly do a routine for you. That is all that I have about the competitive team. All that is left is Booster Club. So are there any other questions about joining Champion? Okay. Lindsay, do you want to talk about boosters?
Yes, I'm gonna share my, oh, can you let me share my screen? I've got a PowerPoint.
Yeah. I've not done this. So do I need to?
I don't know, it says that you disabled it.
Oh. Is it because I'm recording? No, it doesn't make any sense.
I'm not sure. I mean, I can do it without it. It's just easier because there's stuff to read.
Yeah, just give me a second. More. Oh, I probably need to click on you. Maybe that'll help.
Oh, there we go. Oh, it's still not letting me share, but I'm the host now. All right, let me see.
That's no, I probably need to make you the host.
Okay. Oh no, did that work?
Multiple participants can share simultaneously.
Oh, perfect. There we go. Okay. So real quick, my name is Lindsay Potlitzer. I am the membership chair for the Booster Club. Amanda Pfau is the president of the Booster Club. She's on vacation this week, so she is not in this meeting. But at any point, if you have questions about anything, feel free to reach out to either one of us. All of our information is in the PowerPoint. And then I've also emailed some documents to Jason. And we're going to be sending out a flyer as well that kind of has like a membership summary and kind of all the things that you need to do just to make sure that you kind of have like a checklist. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. Some of you are returning and some of you may be new. So if you have questions at any point, feel free to speak up, or maybe Jason's got everybody muted, so you might have to use the chat, but just let me know. So first of all, welcome. We're kicking this off tonight. All of our seasons run from June 1st of the current year until May 31st. So technically the new season started last week. We haven't done registration yet. Kind of just a recap. Where is this? Oh, there we go. Okay, so what is Champion Boosters? It's a 501c3 nonprofit association whose purpose is to raise funds to support Champion Gymnastics team. So the whole point is to help offset costs for our meets. It's definitely a better way to go. There's a lot of fundraising opportunities and that kind of thing. So when I get into this, there may be a little bit of a sticker shock, but just kind of take a deep breath and we'll go through a lot of the options for fundraising and that kind of thing. So why is it needed? Membership greatly reduces your out-of-pocket expenses. So we take care of the meet fees, the payment of coaches' travel expenses, session fees, clinics for the optionals, coaches training and certifications. And then at the end of the season, there's an annual banquet for the gymnasts and coaches. Then there's just some other operating expenses. Like we just sent some coaches down to Congress to learn all the new routines last weekend. We've got travel. So anytime the kids are at meets, the coaches have costs associated with that to also travel. So it not only covers the cost of the meet itself, but all of the extra stuff as well. So this is separate from All About Kids. So you pay your tuition, which covers your practice. Booster Club covers all of the competition fees. So what's required to be a member? So there is a registration that we'll send out a link. It's not going to be live until Sunday. It might be out a couple days early, but we're going to go with Sunday. And the email or the website will be in the email that Jason sends out later. But you'll go on. We use Sports Engine for the site that we do all of our registration and everything through. There's a couple different things that we need to use that site for throughout the year. But you'll go on that site and you'll register, and there is a membership handbook that you'll read through. There's some kind of like a bunch of different questions and scenarios and gives you a bunch of information, but it will have you walk through and basically sign off on all of these items. So you're committing, you're agreeing that you've read it, you know what you agreed to, that kind of thing. You register, and then there'll be a fee due. So there's a registration component that is $350. And then throughout the year, there's a fundraising component that's $500. And that's broken down into 3 payments throughout the year to kind of help spread that out. So,
and let me just
there's-
interject real quick, Lindsay. So this is the part, like I said, you can quit at any time, and you don't owe All About Kids, any additional money, because we just bill monthly. But at literally in June and July, I start using the Booster Club's money to register your athletes for meets. So if you don't finish out the year, that money cannot be recouped because I've already registered these athletes for it. And sometimes, we can get refunds depending on when, but let's say you retire in February mid-season, we still need you to finish your $850 total in registration fundraising because we can't get that money back at that point, and it's already spent. And while you gradually there will be fundraising or have different goals, the Booster Club fronts basically. So I can register these athletes in the summer and early fall while you're still fundraising and or making installment plans or installment payments. So it's just super important that you are committing to this part for the whole year.
Thank you for that. And to kind of piggyback off of that and because of that,
The $350, sorry, again, someone had a question, Lindsay. $350 registration fee for Booster Club, it is annual, and you do that every year.
Yep. Yes. So it's really important also to pay by the dates that we have listed. This last year, obviously with COVID, was very difficult. We didn't even know if we were going to have a meet, if we were going to be able to have any kind of meet. So we were very lucky that we were able to, but it made it very challenging, and trying to collect on time and get registered for meets and everything. It was really difficult. But as Jason mentioned, Booster Club fronts a lot of that money. And so we need everybody to be paying on time. It's very frustrating. I think like last year we got to the end of the season and like half of them still had not paid. So it's very frustrating. And then to have to reach out to everybody and say, hey, you haven't paid, it just makes it awkward and difficult. We're all adults, so we know what we signed up for. We know what we're getting into. If there's ever questions or issues or anything else, feel free to reach out to us at any time. There's a bunch of different members on the board, so reach out to any one of us if you've got questions or issues or anything like that. So anyway, so you've got your registration of $350 and your fundraising of $500, and I will get into it a little bit in a bit about what kind of fundraising we have. And then there's also a volunteer. So that's the financial side. And then there's a volunteer side aspect of this as well. So there are committees. So you'll need to volunteer for a committee. Most of them are very not too intensive. There are a few that are much more intensive. We've got like Derby Classic, which is our huge fundraiser. Last year, I think we had about 1,200 athletes at it. So it takes everybody to fulfill that. So some of the committees are putting together parts of that. Other committees are helping with fundraising. There's some that are helping with camp in the summertime. So there's all sorts of different ones. Once you register committees, there's a DIBS system, and you'll log in, and we'll send out a lot of information about that as it gets near. I know when I first started, it was very intimidating. What was DIBS and how do you get in? You can't get in early to kind of check it out, which I think sometimes people are just like, I just want to see what's going on, but we can't do that. So if you have questions, just let us know. But you'll sign up for your committee. And then, as Jason mentioned, we have Super Bowl and Champion Challenge, our 2 in-house meets that are at All About Kids. And you will need to volunteer for 2 sessions at either of those. So you can either do 2 at the first one or 2 at the second, 1 at each, however that ends up working out. But 2 sessions across those 2 meets to help run those meets. And some of that stuff is working the door, working admissions, holding up the scores. There's various activities. Usually it's a couple of hours. Some people do it while their kid's competing, and other people try and do it either before or after or whatever. The only thing, it does not have to be done by you specifically. If you have family or friends, if there's sometimes, you're a single parent or a parent is traveling and you can't leave your other kids. There's other ways to do it. Sometimes you just have to think outside the box, but again, just ask if you've got questions. And then, as I mentioned, with our Derby Classic, it's our big meet. It usually runs Friday through Sunday, and it is all day of those 3 days, but we need everybody for that. So it's usually 4 sessions for that. There are some multi-gymnast families, and the in-house meets is 2 meets per gymnast, but the Derby Classic is 4, and then you would add 2 for a multi-gymnast. So a total of 6 for Derby Classic. Any questions about the financial or the volunteer side of that? How to register. So I will send out this, or Jason's got this link. I'm going to be sending out flyers as well. There will be a QR code so that you can scan that as well. But you'll go to this website, and right in the middle of the page, there'll be a blue box that says register 2021-2022 Booster Club registration. You'll click on that, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and then you'll either sign in or you'll have to create a new account. If you're new to the gym, you'll just create an account. It's easy to do, but then you'll just sign up. And then you'll just complete your registration steps. And as I mentioned, it'll walk you through the agreement. So back to the volunteer requirements, it'll say, how many gymnasts do you have? If you have 1, I agree that I owe $350 for registration. I owe $500 for fundraising, and it'll just walk you through everything. So it's kind of your agreement and acknowledgement that you know what you need to do. And then to complete your registration, so there's the online portion where you fill it all out and you register, and then there's a payment. So you can pay through the website. If you do, there is a 3.25% fee or a charge plus a $150 administration fee. That has nothing to do with us. That's Sports Engine's site. They do that, but it is convenient. The other way you can pay is with check, or some people do cash, but it goes into a box that it's locked. You can't get in without a key, but it sits in the hallway at All About Kids. So there is, if you're familiar with the gym, you go down to where all of the kids are doing gymnastics. There's the other hallway that has the cheer side, and there's a booster club office down that hallway. Ours is the first one. There is a cheer booster box down there as well. And we've had some issues where we've had checks dropped into the wrong box and we can't get into that one. So we've had some checks lost and stuff. So make sure, and it's on the door or on the wall, I can't remember, but it says Champion Booster Club. So make sure that you are paying attention to which box that you're dropping that into. And then if you're leaving a check or money or whatever it is, make sure in the memo line you're mentioning your athlete's name or the family name and their level. Makes it easier to match everything up. This year, the important dates, registration needs to be done by June 30th. As I mentioned, it will go live on the 13th, I believe.
Lindsay, someone had a question.
Uh-huh.
If the PowerPoint will be available for them to review, or is this all in the handbook?
So there are 3 different documents that I'm sending you, Jason, that'll go in the
Uh-huh.
email follow-up, and it's got all of this information in there. So there's like a summary, there's a checklist, and then there's the handbook. So all of the information I'm covering now will be in that as well.
And on our website. I'm actually uploading it right now.
Yep, and it's on the Champion Gym website, but it's also on the Booster Club website as well in the lower right-hand corner. And then the flyer that we're sending home with everybody at some point this week, probably the end of the week, will have, again, all this information on it as well. So anyway, so June 30th is the registration. That is $350 per gymnast. The first fundraising payment is going to be due on August 31st. That first payment is $167, which is a third of the $500. Payment 2 is due on October 15th. And then the third payment is due January 15th. One thing to note is that for returning gymnasts and returning families, we are doing a $50 credit again this year like we did last year, as long as you have registered and you have paid by June 30th. So if you do your registration and everything else by June 30th, we are offering returning families the $50 credit, and that goes towards fundraising. So you still have to pay your $350. Everybody has to pay $350. And that was just due to, we didn't get to travel as much and everything last year, so our expenses were a little bit less. And then, as I mentioned, there's fundraising opportunities are offered year round. Our fundraising chair this year is Joni Hendricks, and she just took this on. Jennifer Armstrong was doing it in the previous year, but she left us a lot of good information. So Joni's got a good start on that. Some of the fundraising we don't like to do a bunch of the, here's my magazine, please buy peanuts and wrapping paper and everything. So I know fundraising sometimes is a little bit scary and you're like, oh gosh, I've got to sell stuff to people. We do different types of fundraising. Last year, we did one at the end of the year. We did a gift card raffle basket where everybody brought in like a $15 gift card to random places. We ended up with a basket that had over $1,000 worth of gift cards. And I think we raised, I can't even remember, it was $2,000 or $3,000. And it was very easy for people to make money towards their fundraising goals. One that's really popular is called Scripts. Basically, you buy gift cards and they give you a percentage back towards your fees. So when I travel, I use like Southwest or hotels.com. And I went to Chicago once and I think the hotel was $950 and my airfare was a couple hundred, and I earned $80 back just by using Scripts. And it costs like 15 cents or something to do a transaction. So it doesn't cost you anything, but you buy this gift card and you get all this cash back. So, and there's a ton of options on that as well. We do sell sheets. There's some other ones. There's a flipathon. There's like a bingo board where you just kind of get people to sponsor you. You do flips and they give you money. So there's all sorts of different opportunities. I think Joni will probably do an actual fundraising meeting probably in the next couple of weeks. She might not know that yet, but we'll try and do something like that to kind of go over some of these options. And then, like I said, we've got our volunteer requirements. So once you register, we'll sign up for the committees. And you cannot sign up for your committee until you're registered. You're not in the system, so you're not able to actually claim a DIB. DIBs is what the program or whatever is used. There's just a box on that webpage. It says DIBs, and you'll go there, and that's how you'll register for your committee. That's how you'll register for your in-house meets, your Derby Classic sessions, all of that stuff. It's all on that Sports Engine website. So July 1st at 7 p.m., you'll go on and you'll claim your DIBs. Some are chair positions, some are just helper positions. So there's descriptions of everything. You can kind of read through and see what you want to do. If you have specific questions or, just curious what's out there, reach out and we can go over, kind of give you some of the different types of things you might see. Again, you've got your work two in-house meets per gymnast. And then your 4 Derby Classic sessions, and then you've got 2 additional sessions for multi-gymnast families. And then also there is a fee associated if you miss your session. So it's very, very, very important that when you come to these sessions, there's always a sign-in. Make sure you sign in. That's how we go through an audit and make sure that everybody's doing their part. We can't have the program that we have unless we all do a little bit. And at the end of the day, everybody on the board, we're all volunteers. So we're trying to do everything what's best for the group. We're human, we make mistakes, and sometimes it doesn't go as how everybody wants it, but we're really trying to do what's best for everybody. There is a quick reference kind of breaking it down. So you've got Booster Club and what you've got for All About Kids. So as Jason mentioned, your monthly tuition that's on a debit card that's deducted every month on the 15th, summer camp, all the clinics, and then your apparel. That'll all go through All About Kids. And then for the Booster Club, you've got your meet registration fees, coaches travel, judges for the practice meets, like Jason mentioned, education and conferences for coaches. At the end of the season, we have a banquet. Every gymnast gets a trophy that has their personal bests on every event and all around. And the banquet fees are free for the athletes, and then guests are an additional fee. And then optional camps, optional clinics. And then at the end of the year at the state meet, we buy flowers for all of the gymnasts as a gift. So there's a lot that goes into it, but the Booster Club you do not pay All About Kids for that. It's a complete separate entity. And then that's really it. So here's my contact information, Amanda's contact information. Feel free to text us, call us, email, whatever. We try to respond as quickly as we can. One thing I didn't mention is there's also a Facebook page, Champion Booster Club Facebook group that's for everybody. We post anytime there's an email sent out, you'll get it through Sports Engine, and then we try to also post it on the Facebook page. We try to communicate as best as possible, but as Jason mentioned, if you opt out of those emails, you're not going to see it. Sometimes they go to spam or trash or whatever, but we try to communicate. We'll give you heads up. Hey, registration's live. Hey, registration is due in 3 days or whatever it is. We try to give reminders, but we also don't try and inundate you, and we're not emailing you every day either. We'll put some stuff on the Booster website, usually just trying to get it in a couple places. And then also there are specific level pages. So I just set them up tonight, so you can go find them. I'll post on the Booster Club the links to all of them, but it's 2021-2022 champion gymnastics level, whatever, 2, 3, 4. And those are just for the guardians. Please don't invite everybody and their brother. It's just meant for the like the parents or the guardians of the athletes to communicate. So if practices change or there's meet information, we've got some level reps. That's one of the committees, is a level rep, and there's 2 per level that will kind of also disseminate information. So if Jason's got information, he might reach out to the level 2 level reps, and they'll put, send a text out or an email or something. So you're not always getting a big email from everybody. It's pertinent just to a certain level. So there are individual level pages as well. There is one for levels. There's one for girls level 2, 3, 4, and 5. There's an Excel one and a boys. And then the 6 through 10s use another app. They don't have a Facebook page. And the level reps for that group will reach out to you all once rosters are finalized and invite you to that as well. So other than that, that's all I have. I'm sure there's questions.
Yeah, there's some questions.
All right. Let me see.
I'm trying to get, someone asked if we can pay all at once. Yes, you can. You don't have to wait till the end of the year. You can do it right away. If we fundraise the next installment amount, such as 167 by October 31st, we don't write a check for that. But if we don't fundraise, we are personally responsible for that installment. Correct.
Yes.
What about practice meets? Practice meets are paid for, so the Booster Club pays the judges for that, but we host them here in the gym, and there's no fee to you guys. Booster Club pays for that, so that's included in your, your fundraising or whatever. The level 2 just got block warm-ups this year. I came in late on conversation, so there will be a new warm-up for gymnast since she is joining Excel. Should we expect a new warm-up? No. So we keep them for 2 years. So last year that warm-up is still the same warm-up that everyone else is going to use this season. Doesn't matter whether it's Excel or level 2, everyone has the same warm-up. Amanda, yes, you can pay all at once if you prefer. Oh, these already been answered.
Nisha had asked, what are the duties of the level reps? It's in the handbook as well, but they're kind of a point of contact. So if the coaches need to, sometimes the coaches will reach out, but sometimes also they might send out an email and say, hey, can you double check and see who all is going to be here this weekend? I know we've had a bunch of those recently with our level, and we've changed some practice times around just because we didn't have enough people. So we just kind of made one group and weren't there all day. Also, they'll send out reminders. Hey, fundraising is coming up. If you've got questions, usually they do like a holiday party around Christmas time. So they might organize that. It's usually something really small at the gym, but just getting pizza or, ice cream or something at some point. But it's kind of a point of contact is the main thing that they do. They also have to attend the Booster Club meetings. So there's also meetings once a month that we just do a general assembly meeting, and this is what we're doing. These are the things that are going on. Any questions, that kind of thing. And they'll give a brief update as to what's going on, how many gymnasts there are, if there's been any questions that have come up, and then they can communicate with the board too. You're always welcome to communicate with the board, but sometimes people don't necessarily want to come directly to us. So they might just kind of in mingling. And if a level rep over here is like, hey, we've had some parents asking about this, whatever. So it's kind of a point of communication between coaches and the board and the level parents. Jason, there was a question about what are the practice meets?
So a practice meet is just, we bring in judges and they compete in their uniform as if they're at a real meet, and we get feedback. So every level will have one practice meet. And then someone asked about being able to use Leos. And I would recommend if you're trying to buy one or sell one, that you just do that on the Champion Facebook group.
Yeah, so this year we wouldn't have Leos except for, you said level 2, Jason?
Level 2 will have their same Leo again this upcoming season.
So, but anybody 3 and up, we're getting brand new Leos this year.
Correct.
So everybody has to buy a Leo this year. But there could be warm-ups from retired gymnasts from last year that would still be current this year. I don't know specifically anybody that's looking to get rid of any of them, but if I hear anything, or if you post on the Booster Facebook page as well, like, hey, does anybody have this? And you kind of know your size. Sometimes people are like, hey, I know this person that recently retired, and they might be able to get you in contact with them. The gymnast needs bigger warm-up pants. It's sometime in July, I think, right, Jason? There's usually like
yes, yeah.
Yeah, so if you need to order new pants, you can get size. You'll do it at the same time that you get size for the Leo. When are the Booster Club meetings held? It's this year was a little bit more difficult because we had to do everything via Zoom. Usually it's like the first Monday of every month or something, and there's some kind of prescription to it. We're hoping And it sounds like with everything opening up, we might be able to start doing these in person again, which would be wonderful. But we have not actually looked at a calendar and scheduled any of those out yet. We've got a meeting coming up, an internal meeting, a board meeting coming up, and we'll take a look at that. And we'll get that out once registration is done and everything else. We'll get that out to everybody. Bags for competition, Jason.
What about them?
Somebody asked, can they use any bag or do they need to buy a champion bag?
A champion backpack.
And we're getting, I heard everybody's getting new backpacks this year. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So everybody's getting a new one. So there isn't going to be a reaching out to find a used one. Backpacks, I want to say are somewhere in the $40 range, I think. I don't remember. I think somewhere in the 40. Then
Someone asked about music for Excel. Yes, Eric will be sending out communication about what she wants from music and routines. I just reached out to her to remind her to do that. Well, if there's no more questions, I think we're done. If you have any follow-up questions, feel free to reach out via email or text, and welcome to help. And like I said, the handbook will go out, and we'll definitely read through that again just to make sure you have a clear understanding of what to expect for this upcoming season.
yeah, there was one more question about the practice meet. So I think the question is the practice meet. It's usually towards the end of October. So it's before any of our actual meets, and it kind of gives you a gauge as to where you are. So you have a couple weeks to kind of make some corrections and stuff before the competition season itself starts, right?
Yeah, we get feedback from the judges and they get scored just like a real meet. I don't think I don't know if parents come and watch it or not. I haven't really paid attention, but it's done within practice. So you don't have to set aside a special weekend for the practice meet. It's done during a normal practice.
Not what we volunteer at. No,
Right,
no.
no.
There are no volunteer sessions for the practice meet. Nope.
No.
It's just during practice.
All right. Well, thanks, guys.
Yeah, I saw
Oh, wait.
your email, Nisha. I'll check it out. I'll get back to you in a second. But as I said, if you have any questions about Booster Club, feel free to reach out, email, text, Facebook message. We try to respond as quickly as we can.
Okay. Have a good night, guys.
Thank you.